Yeah, I just stopped. I think it went to oblivion. All right, welcome, guys. Hey, guys. Today we're streaming Ace Attorney Chronicles once again. Today we have another face, if you can't tell. This is Ivana. This is Matt's fiance, soon to be wife, but for now still fiance. But she'll be helping us voice some things. I don't know if she'll be here every time, but at least for the very least, she's here today. So let's just head into it and continue from where we were. So last when we left off, we just arrived in London and saw this guy. Yeah. So we just saw his initial things, but let's speak to him. Remember your voice?
So, what are your impressions of our capital so far? How do you like London?
Oh, help? I've been so nervous ever since I got here that I can't remember a single thing about the city.
It's simply splendid, isn't it, Mr. Naruhodo?
There's gonna be a lot of past.
Oh.
No, because it won't pick up.
Well, if she holds it.
Oh.
We had a wonderful view of some of London's streets from the carriage on the way here from the station. Everything is so impressive and grand. I must say I'm always lost for words.
I'm glad to hear you like it. The city boasts tramways, piped water and gas, even cables supplying electricity. We spearhead every revolutionary new technology in the world. Every visitor to London is astounded.
Oh yes, astounded is the word.
Thanks for saving me there, Susato-san.
And everyone seems so joyful, or jolly, and full of vigor.
Oh my.
Yes. My weekly Dicosmos gaming content. I've been waiting. Dude, with improved microphone. There's much excitement about the upcoming Great Exhibition we will be hosting here in London.
Great exhibition and improved female voicing. Alright, now you need a cane.
Cultural and technological achievements from around the globe are to be exhibited here in our great city. It will be the greatest spectacle of its kind in history, and will make Paris's World Fair look like a toy shop.
Gosh! I can hardly imagine how magnificent it's going to be.
Great Britain's capital city is nothing but magnificent. London is the center of the modern world.
Even if you do say so yourself.
The sun will never set on our great empire. Perhaps it is fate that in these progressive times we welcome visitors from the land of the rising sun.
That was the first thing. Lord Chief Justice, I think you were expecting a student of law for this study tour, weren't you?
Absolutely. Mr. Kazuma Asogi, if my memory serves.
That's right.
The British government has already been telegraphed a full report on the situation. I understand the young man lost his life aboard the steamship bound for our shores.
That's amazing. The news reached him before we even arrived.
Spit it out, Thomas.
My country naturally extends its deepest condolences to yours.
Oh, thank you.
And you honored this appointment specifically to inform me of the news?
Yes. We are here in the capacity of envoys from Japan to report the sad news in person.
They tell me you Japanese are people of protocol and courtesy, and I see that it's true. And it is with some regret that I must inform you that the death of the young lawyer means this study tour arrangement can no longer proceed.
If you would just hear us out, Lord Strongheart.
What do you have to say, madam?
It's about the study tour. Mr. Naruhodo here would like to make a proposal.
Would he now? Well, Mr. Naruhodo.
This is it then. The moment of truth. The thing is, Lord Justice, Lord Strongheart, I was wondering if perhaps you would consider allowing the study tour to go ahead.
Don't misunderstand me. Britain would ideally like to see the tour go ahead. But without a lawyer from your country, there's nothing to be done.
Well, in that case, what if there was someone else? Another lawyer from Japan, I mean.
Is there something I don't know? Only a single lawyer was invited to Great Britain from your country, and that was Mr. Asogi. At least that is what I've been led to understand.
Well, the thing is, this really isn't going well at all. I just can't seem to find the right words to say to this man.
No, I can't say. Naruhodo!
I could ruin things here if I'm not careful. What am I gonna say? If there's someone else here from Japan who could be described as a lawyer, it's... Actually, there's no one. It's only been 40 days since Kazuma died, and yes, I've studied as hard as I possibly could, but can I really stand before this terrifying man and claim that I can do the job? Sorry, I don't know what I was thinking. Of course, only one lawyer. Ugh, but I'm not sure if I can stand before this terrifying woman and claim that I can't. It's the terrifying man or the terrifying woman. Which will I choose? I'll end up upside down on the floor if I do that. Not that I'm scared of a Susato takedown, obviously, but still, perhaps I should change my answer. It's me. I can do it. Yeah, man, you're gonna have to keep an eye on the chat for me since I'm all the way over here.
Is that so?
I mean, I don't actually have any qualifications as such, but... No qualifications, you say?
No qualifications, you say? And yet you still claim to be a lawyer?
I have acted as a lawyer in court before. Only once, as it happens. And I had Kazuma to help me, and I was the accused, but glossing over the details. I've been spending every spare moment on the journey here to Great Britain studying. I've learned all about British law and court proceedings while I was on board the SS Burya.
I need a watch now, too.
The voyage from Japan is some 50 days, I believe. Not what you might call a full education. To become a qualified lawyer here in Britain, not only do you need a university degree in law, you must also complete several years of training.
But I've gone to YouTube.
Wow, fake answers. I realize it's far too short a period of time, but I can't just go back to Japan. Kazuma, Mr. Asogi's journey had only just begun. Coming here on this study tour was all he thought about. I have to carry on and do everything he planned to do. I know it must sound like I have an overly inflated opinion of myself, but I would do anything to prove that I have what it takes. Any test you care to set me. Just one chance. That's all I'm asking for. Please.
31 seconds.
Sorry?
Your opening statement there, Mr. Naruhodo. It was 31 seconds long. Not too brief, not too protracted. A perfectly judged appeal, I would say. Which is a skill that would stand you in a good stead as a lawyer.
Oh, thanks.
So, you're willing to put those words to trial, are you? Well, I'm all for entertainment.
Man, everyone here snaps, I swear. Huh?
But let me ask you one thing first, sir.
Yes?
This passing of the microphone is never gonna get old.
You say you intend to do everything Mr. Asogi planned to do. Are you firmly set on that path?
Well, yes, that's my intention.
I see.
Am I imagining things? Or did his expression just alter a fraction there all of a sudden? I didn't notice either.
Very well. Have your wish. I'll give you a chance. A test to become a specially certified lawyer. Whether you pass or fail is entirely down to you.
Really? I will say, like, getting introductions is a lot harder now because, like, if you say anything off to the side, like, any comments won't be picked up. Yeah, that's straight off. So, what form will the test take exactly?
Tell me, Mr. Naruhodo, what do you consider the role of a lawyer to be?
Well, defending people, of course.
Well said. So, let's have you defend someone.
Huh?
Your timing is perfect, in fact. There's an apt trial about to begin later today. No advocate has been appointed for the defense as yet, so this will be welcome news.
Today?
Straight away?
If you manage to secure a verdict of not guilty, you'll have passed my test. What could be simpler?
It's rigged. It's a rigged trial. Ugh. How do I get myself into these situations? I'm the murderer again.
Well, could I ask, what sort of trial is it, Lord?
No, what if he is guilty? Just lose.
Yes, good question. I remember. It's a murder trial.
Are there any other trials in the Ace Attorney games, honestly?
A murder!
An extremely... A murder! Simple case, I understand. You really can't lose.
There are only 5 witnesses who saw the murder. That's easy to say.
But I should mention just in case. The defendant is found guilty. He will of course be sentenced to capital punishment.
Capital punishment? He'll be put to death?
What if it's the person that we sent back to Europe? Whatever.
Here in Great Britain, murderers are sent to the gallows without exception.
Wait, who do we send back to Europe?
Remember the chick that we convicted in Japan of murder, but she left?
I thought she still went to... I thought she still left. Did she go back?
Yeah, we couldn't try her in Japan.
Oh, you're talking about the British one. Oh, the one we first tried. Yeah, no, she's gonna come up. She's like final antagonist of the game for sure.
Presumably you read that much in your short sea-based introduction to British law.
We can't possibly agree to such a test. We would be toying with a man's life.
I am the Lord Chief Justice, and I've decided it's acceptable.
But you can't do that, can you?
There's no need to overcomplicate this. All you have to do is ensure that you don't lose.
Just win, forehead. So the defendant may live or die depending on how well I perform in court. If I lose, he'll be hanged.
Mr. Naruhodo, you've come to me claiming to be a lawyer. If you want me to take you seriously, you need to prove you're willing to do a lawyer's job. And you say you intend to see through the will of your compatriot, Mr. Asogi. I would like to understand just how far you're willing to go in order to make that happen.
He's testing my resolve.
What's the matter? You've fallen silent. I'm sorry, but time is pressing. The trial begins shortly. I need an answer from you now. What's it to be?
What do I say? Do I agree to this absurd test? I won't do it. Alright then, if I have to give you a decision now, my answer is... I can't do it. I can't get the words out.
15 seconds. Your decision-making needs work if you want to be a lawyer that was too slow. So, it's as I suspected, is it?
Sorry?
You have noble intentions, but lack the resolve to see them through.
I ain't calling us out.
The test is cancelled. Thank you for stopping by.
Game's over.
Go and acquire your ticket for passage back to the east tomorrow. This conversation is over.
Honestly, we might actually get a game over here. Yes, Lord Strongheart. Thank you for offering me a chance. I'm sorry, Mr. Sato, but what could I do?
It's alright.
You do?
It's not an easy decision to choose. And then these but resolve has absolutely with it.
What are you trying to say, madam?
I think what Mr. Sato means is that no matter how badly I'd like to be recognized as a lawyer and stay here in Great Britain, to risk another man's life by treating his one and only chance at a trial so trivially would be utterly unforgivable, and I feel exactly the same way. I'm sure the defendant won't see this trial as a test, as some kind of experiment. A lawyer might fight for his clients in court day after day, but for each one for each one of those clients, the particular day they stand in the dock may be the only chance they have to fight to prove their innocence. No, I was wrong. I'm not qualified to do that job yet. I'm sorry for wasting your precious time, Lord Chief Justice. Dang, I answered right, actually. That was the right answer.
Wait, Mr. Naruhodo.
Can you, after a speech like that, you think he's gonna game over? Oh, was there something else?
It's approximately 20 minutes by carriage to the Old Bailey from here. If you leave immediately, you should still be there in time.
But I just said that.
I was quite serious in what I told you. The defendant in this case has literally no one to advocate for him.
That's a good snap.
What?
At this point, he can't hope to find someone to represent him. The trial will begin without a defense. And if that happens, there's only one possible outcome. He will receive the most severe sentence the judge can pass down.
But that's awful.
But that is the truth.
They have to be like this.
Please don't expect an answer to every question. The cold, hard truth of the matter. That there's only one person now with a chance to save this man from a very miserable end. And that is you.
I'm really his only hope?
So, what do you say now, madam?
Me? What do you mean, Lord Strong?
You said it wasn't an easy decision to choose whether to defend a man in these circumstances, and I agree. But in my estimation, it is purely and simply a matter of resolve.
Oh.
You're right, I'm an idiot.
Our time is up here. I have a meeting to attend. I must leave in 2 minutes and 16 seconds.
I wish I had this dude's ability to time things.
So, venture into our great city and enjoy yourselves.
We'll venture and just forget the case. Just go tour around. Enjoy London.
Come on.
The Old Bailey.
If we're going to do this, Mr. Naruhodo, we must leave at once.
Alright, before we leave, let's examine the room. No, I'm not gonna do this. Too much time. Actually, I want to see what's to the left. Alright, there's literally nothing else to the left. Alright, let's move to the Old Bailey. Oh. Hey. Alright, information that's useless.
Oh, thank goodness we're in time. There's still 15 minutes until the trial begins.
I never knew a horse-drawn carriage could go so fast. I thought my teeth were going to rattle loose.
Did you hear what I said to the driver when we climbed aboard? Get us to our destination in 5 minutes, driver, and there's there's what? A guinea in it for you.
Is that money?
Guinea pig, they eat it.
Guinea pig?
They eat it in Europe, I'm pretty sure.
It's one of my favorite lines from the Sherlock Holmes stories, and it worked quite perfectly.
I'm not sure why you're so pleased. I thought we were going to die and we had to pay gold for the privilege.
Well, at least we arrived here before the trial started.
Yes, I suppose there's that.
Anyway, I don't understand it. The court clerk said the defendant should be here, but there's no sign of him at all.
It's us. Plot twist, it's us.
So this is the Old Bailey. Even this room for defendants to wait is even this room for defendants to wait in is grand.
Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo?
I'm feeling tense, that's all. This place gives me the same sense of foreboding that I remember from the Supreme Court in Japan. An oppressive air, almost as if the building itself is going to crush whoever is about to be sentenced. It feels like only yesterday that I was the one about to be crushed.
Yes, whoever the man you're to defend is, I imagine he's feeling very alone at this moment.
What if it's Sherlock Holmes?
Top of the morning to you, madam. Sir?
Oh.
Willy Wonka? What are you so doing? Following?
You want to do the voice?
Are fair desperate, are they?
I get it.
Sorry?
Would you look at those expressionless faces? Yes, are you?
We're from Japan, yes?
Ah, Japan, is it? Right, say no more.
I wish I could do better accents.
So, how much do yous need?
No, we're just here because...
No, no need to explain, fella. I've been there myself, so I have. No place to go, nothing to eat, barely a penny to your name. All while in a strange, faraway land.
Well, actually, we haven't found a place to stay yet, no.
Grand is grand. Let me start by giving you 1,000 guineas. Nothing now.
Okay, so guineas, I guess, is the money. Is this money from back then?
Oh, 1,000 guineas!
Please, Mr. Sato, you don't have to shout.
Ah! But 1,000 guineas is enough to build an entire mansion in the most prestigious area of Tokyo.
What?
Holy. 'Tis nothing to me at all. I'd like to ensure I have some funds to weather a rainy day, you see. I have enough wealth to buy the city of London 2 or 3 times over.
We should give you back the Kotoba at this point, Matt. Could that much rain even fall in one day? Well, even so, we couldn't possibly accept such a large sum of money. Ugh! That hit me in the eye! Oh, gosh!
Don't get me wrong, fella. I'm not giving it to you no strings attached. I'll be wanting you to do something for me.
Oh! You want me to break you out?
To be honest, it's a little embarrassing. How that's about to begin, you see. From your good self here. Now, what I want you to do, come along with me and stand there beside me. Officially, be my lawyer, but that's just a little detail now.
Oh, well, the thing is...
Don't worry about a thing. All you have to do is stand up there next to me, nothing more. Otherwise, the trial is going to start without me having any kind of a representation at all.
So it was true. The Lord Chief Justice wasn't just making it all up.
I'm terribly sorry to have... Does that mean you're the defendant in this trial? I don't know. Luster and blazes. Yous not know who I am? Me? London's biggest names?
No, sorry, we only just arrived in the city, you see.
I suppose it isn't altogether impossible. Well, just next to Hyde Park there in the center of London is another beautiful...
Sorry, a park? What?
'Tis called Jurassic Park. Full of blossoming flowers in the spring and singing birds and...
And dinosaurs.
I donated to the city, so I did. An entire park in central London?
Ivana's just talking to herself the whole next hour.
A city of smiles. That's my vision for... Oh. There's nothing Magnus McGilded wouldn't do again. It's square old people.
Where? Where? What does that even mean? That's amazing. I mean, really extraordinary. Alright, vocab word of the day.
Ah, but... Now they've... Now they've the gall to say I'm a good-for-nothing criminal. Me, Magnus McGilded.
Queer is a subset of queer theory exploring the intersectionality of race and sexuality.
That is not what I expected that word to actually mean.
Queer could also mean the queer fellow.
What is the matter with the London police, I ask you?
Alright, don't pass out.
Mr. Naruto? Perhaps now would be a good time to introduce all the gentlemen.
Good idea. Mr. McGilded, the thing is, we're actually here in London to study British law. We're law students.
Queer. Latinismo arc per se derivato dalla terminologia della scolastica medievale.
In English!
It doesn't have it in English. It's not an English word.
Thanks for joining Vandy King 15 or Mark. I'm glad you got into volleyball. Shout out to Haikyuu also. We're law students on a study tour from Japan, you see. So if you don't have a lawyer for the trial yet, and you'd be happy to put your... Oh, gosh.
What was I after saying? You daft Egypt! I've given you 1,000 guineas to sit up there next to me, haven't I?
Well, yes, but I wasn't really offering to just stand up there next to you.
See what's going on here.
Sorry?
Know what you're thinking. Answer of another claims to have more money than the Queen. True. Why the blazes can't he hire the finest lawyer in all England? Because he did it! That's the only explanation! Oh?
Well... Exactly. Actually, that is a good point, though, honestly.
No!
Well, like you said, if you have all that money, but you don't have anyone to represent you in courts, there's no other logical conclusion than that you're guilty of the charges. Dang, I didn't think I'd just call him out like that.
Well, call a spade in the East.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean any offense. I still can't express myself very well in English, you see. English is very hard. We must all speak English! And I'm never sure what's acceptable to say and what isn't, so...
Is that so? Sounded fluent enough when you were telling me what a blackguard I must be.
I'm terribly sorry.
Wah ha ha! Ha ha! I can't say that I blame you for taking it, fella.
It is a little strange, to be honest. I mean, it's true. Why you don't have a lawyer, I mean.
Would be the fault of the Reaper.
Sorry, did he just say Reaper?
Aye, the Grim Reaper of the Bailey, Lord Van Zyke. The prosecutor.
Oh. Looks like we finally have our Matt's star appearance.
The prosecutor is the Grim Reaper? Van Zyke stands for the prosecution. Call the accused his official lambs.
I think it's Zeke's.
To this day, every single trial, it been the accused has been damned.
As every Ace Executor, as in every Ace Attorney prosecutor.
What?
Well, what?
So, reach the desperate into. There's no one willing to stand in defense against the fella at all. Could say he's a living legend of the Old Bailey. Goodness, Lord Barrick Van Zeeks. He must be an exceptionally talented persecutor. Talented is not the word you're looking for.
Cursed? What on earth?
The defendant is summoned and his counsel. Please make your way into the courtroom. The trial is about to begin.
His counsel? That would be me!
Oh, 'tis time. Well then, Bella, don't let me down.
But I don't know anything about the case. You haven't told me what happens.
Till you showed your face here. Made up me mind, so
Sorry?
I've decided I've had to defend myself in there.
How would that have worked? Well, I mean, I defended myself. What do you mean, how would that have worked?
But then you made an appearance. Shouldn't have laughed, wouldn't you? No accident. Sure you have that. Nate, don't get cold feet now, please.
I literally know nothing about the case, or about this man who stands accused. In fact, the only thing I do know is that I can't just turn my back on him.
Mr. Naruto.
The man has no one. He'll have to stand alone in that courtroom, armed with nothing to defend himself. Yes, something that Kazuma would never have allowed to happen.
Counsel for the defense, what are you doing? If you're late for the start of the trial, you will lose your right to stand.
I'll be right there. Well, I mean, it never shows me, so that's the thing. It's happening then. My first trial in a British court. I hope you're watching over me, Kazuma, because I have no idea how I'm going to manage this.
I'm voice actor.
You're right, it's that easy.
See, we're nailing it right now. Holy flames. Oh man, so many girls.
There's a lot of voices up there. So this is the highest court in Great Britain, the Old Bailey. The centuries of history in this place is palpable, isn't it? It's so different to the Supreme Court in Japan.
It feels both imposing and serene at the same time. Atmosphere almost makes words something redundant. Whatever the country, determining a person's guilt or innocence is always a solemn. Say something, mister?
Oh, yes, what?
That's supposed to be you? Your eyes look ready to pop out of your head again.
I know, but I just can't help it. You, I guess. Or I don't know. Actually, who's gonna be the judge? Okay. He's gonna keep showing up too, is the thing. He's gonna show up he's gonna talk just as much as the prosecutor, basically.
In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. Well, we are here today to determine the guilt or innocence of Mr. Magnus McGilded. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed.
Alright, moment of truth. He's been preparing for this moment.
The prosecution is fully prepared.
That must be the Reaper of the Bailey. He really does look fully prepared to dispatch his next poor victim to the underworld.
Well, for the defense, you appear to be Eastern. Do you speak English?
Huh? Oh yes, of course, sorry. But he asked if the defense was ready. And I couldn't be further from ready if I tried. Quick.
Cape down, hold on.
Eyes. Shroud your trepidation.
Pretty sure my eyes aren't shouting anything.
They run wild, clinging to some phantom notion of quintessential sacrifice.
Ugh, a cold shiver just ran down my spine all the way to the tips of my toes.
Now, Mr. McGilded,
My lord,
you stand accused of murder, a capital offense. You could be sent to the gallows if found guilty. Are you quite sure you wish to entrust your defense to this Asian foreigner?
Hey, what's that supposed to mean there?
As I've always said, my lord, it's a grand thing to give opportunity. Even if a student from some little island often. Is it not the British way to ignore the dangers to yourself and give those less fortunate a fair chance?
I think the size of Japan is fairly small compared to England, honestly, so it's not totally unfair.
It's like
Wonka.
Willy Wonka.
That's what I first showed up. I was like, it's
I
Willy
didn't
Wonka.
hear you, but I'd like to think that the acts of chivalry to the great British Empire proud.
Don't forget, yeah, if you have side comments to say, just don't forget you need the mic.
Trying.
Mother, please, maybe you'll blame me. Kill me. It seems as though everyone in the public gallery is firmly behind Mr. Gilden.
That's definitely welcome news. He certainly has a way with words. I'm surprised he couldn't convince anyone to defend him.
Eloquently put, Mr. McGilded. Almost laudable sentiments. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm sure I need hot to remind you
He's senile.
that you 6 members of the public have been selected for your impartiality. Are you ready to proceed, dude?
He's looking straight. He's looking like, what's his face? Lupin. He's Lupin, but blonde. He's 100% Lupin, but blonde.
I have no. Like a pug.
Tell me? You told me that doesn't look like him?
Their hair's totally off.
Well, other than his hair.
That's like he like looks like a monkey. That's like Lupin's thing.
But you don't know if he has a widow's peak.
Whatever. Oh gosh. I got this. Yes, my lord. If the task is to send rotters to the gallows where they belong, I'm more than ready.
At the manor, his lordship always says we should dispose of rubbish promptly, naturally anger.
Any criminals here will soon be wishing they were never set eyes on me.
I need a drink. I feel a chill.
Oh, don't mind me, my dears. Guess I'll just speak it on with my knitting. Must finish these mitts for my grandson.
Ah, Mr. Naruto. No.
Mr. Naruto, eh? Oh, okay.
Naruto. Those people are...
Let me just pull my Kagebunshi no Jutsu. The jury, yes. That's something we don't have in Japan yet. Or, you know, ever, based on the East Attorney games.
Right. I've only ever read about it. Here in Great Britain, the court's final verdict depends on the opinions of these 6 jurors. The judge passes sentence according to the law, but the jurors determine guilt based on common sense. So the defendant is ultimately judged from 2 completely different points of view.
But how exactly do the jurors give their verdict?
That I don't know, but sure it will become clear as a jury.
Yes.
Prosecutor Van Zeeks,
My lord.
it's been a number of years since we've seen you here in the courtroom. I thought you'd renounced your fame.
Oh, he's washed. We're good. We're set.
I'm known as the Reaper of the Bailey. Infamy, rather than fame, I would say. But yes, 5 years have passed since I last spread my wings in this capacity.
Oh, so what brings you back? Is there some change of circumstance of which the court should be aware?
COVID. I leave that to your imagination, my lord.
Well, the Reaper has been out of action for 5 years. Why did he have to choose today of all days to make a comeback?
Don't lose heart, Mr. Naruto.
As you wish, sir. The court nevertheless welcomes your return. Now then, opening statements, I think. Yeah, a summary of the case, if you please.
And with these 2 characters, you're gonna take forever to speak.
Certainly, my lord.
We'll just drag out their words.
As your lordship is aware, this is a case of overwhelming simplicity.
We must be the only ones in here who aren't aware.
The incident took place in the late evening, 3 days past. The hour was some minutes after 10.
We'll need every single prop, man. I'm not gonna go get a sword.
Victim was a maker of building bricks known in the community as Thrice Fired Mason.
Sorry, thrice?
He was a very accomplished craftsman. The bricks he fired were said to be almost indestructible.
Victim's corpse was discovered in an omnibus in a service on the streets of London at the time. The dagger that had been thrust into the victim's abdomen is believed to be the ultimate cause of death. Here's the autopsy report from the investigating medical officer at Scotland Yard.
Thank you, Counsel. I shall accept that and the photograph as evidence.
The autopsy report has been added. Photograph of the crime.
One further item of
evidence. Prosecution wishes to submit these as well.
These are... Good Lord! Is that blood, Counsel?
Yes, seized by a policeman who arrived at the scene. Gore-soaked gloves were taken from the hands of the accused when he was arrested.
What? Mr. McGilded's gloves had blood on them?
And we were holding a pistol when the dude died, okay.
Yes, I will accept these as evidence as well.
How did I get into this? I'm backed into a corner before I even started.
Continuing.
There's more?
According to the driver of the omnibus, there were only 2 passengers traveling inside his vehicle at the time.
Only 2, you know, as it is, you know.
Obviously, one of these passengers was the deceased brick, Mr. Mason. The other
No, he doesn't.
was the accused Magnus McGilded.
Well, rather damning circumstances to say the least. Defendant, what say you?
And of course, I have no recollection. Recollect? I was not.
Recollection of such a thing.
Mr. McGilded!
To be sure, I rode the omnibus that evening.
It's your first time, it's okay.
But whenever I'm in a carriage, I'm taken with a fierce tiredness, and I always succumb to it.
The classic I fell asleep.
Are you claiming you've been asleep?
Tis the motion of the carriage, my lord. Lilton, so it is. Open my eyes again?
Built-in.
It was a desperate sight before me, and never laid eyes on before. I ask you, as what good-hearted soul wouldn't rush to a bleeding from his stomach? Wasn't about to start worrying about me gloves now, was I? And a half.
So the blood got onto the gloves then, after the man had been killed. What? That's not all of it?
There were multiple witnesses to the precise moment at which the brickmaker was fatally stabbed.
Wait, but how would there be multiple if there's like...
Order! Order! Order!
Maybe the thing was at standstill and then everyone saw it.
When the killing took place, only the victim and the accused were inside the carriage, and there were witnesses to the crime. This is not just a case of compelling evidence. Nail in the coffin for the accused.
Thank you, Counsel. The circumstances of the crime have been made quite clear. I think we will hear testimony from these witnesses first of all.
Your wish is my command. Bailiff, bring the witnesses in at once.
Finally stop talking, maybe. No, you're probably gonna have to converse with each witness.
You want me to talk faster or what?
I'm just saying, oh man, you got a lot of talking.
Witnesses, your names and occupations.
Name is, well, everyone calls me Meepo. I drive an omnibus in the East End.
Bruce, fair play.
Bruce Fairplay. I'm a banker in the city.
My name's First. Lady First. I, make hats for gents.
Guys, I'm telling you, we're good at freaking voices. Let's begin by confirming the facts.
I think the last guy's name's supposed to be pun on ladies first, because he's a gent. Yeah, there's gonna be all sorts of puns in here. Just get ready.
3 days ago,
I played the Russian dude Biff Stroganoff.
3 days ago, at a short time after 10 o'clock in the... All of you present in the stand were in an omnibus, in witness to the aforementioned. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Quite right.
Yes, sir. That's right, sir.
Very well, then let's proceed to your formal testimonies, please. Each of you will tell the court precisely what you saw.
Well, this is gonna be a headache to remember all these voices between the jurors, the 6 jurors, 5 witnesses, the judge, the flipping people on the prosecution and the defense.
Just focus on who you have to do.
It was the last bus of the evening, so I had a few customers. I remember it well.
I can't even remember Pugface's voice already.
The victim and the man accused of killing him were sat next to each other inside the bus.
Oh, he started into a Texan.
He's turned to yes and no, sir.
And then, then out of the blue, the accused just reached over and plunged a knife right into his guts.
That's right. He stabbed him. I screamed. I did. Couldn't help it.
As soon as I heard the scream, I stopped my bus, and then I saw it too.
Unambiguous testimony.
I can't keep him straight. Exactly, my lord. These men witnessed the incident in the omnibus with their own eyes.
I'd like to ask a question, if I may.
Yes, Counsel.
Well, this testimony makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever.
Why not?
Well, the incident took place inside a moving carriage, didn't it?
As has been clearly stated from the outset, yes.
Well, in that case, how could those 2 witnesses possibly have seen what happened? There's no way they could have seen the inside of a moving carriage. Like how no one's pointed this out before.
How quaint. I I'd read that civilization in the Eastern Island nations was a good century ago.
I see we're the idiots here.
But you're here in London yourself. You're really so ignorant about our omnibus.
Huh?
Tell me, Mr. Nipplehead friend, have you even traveled in an omnibus?
Well, no. We only arrived in London this morning.
No matter. Arranged for us to see for ourselves the actual scene of the crime.
What do you mean? The actual scene? How?
A carriage is designed to be moved. So, presumably, you understand that much.
Just drive it straight to the wall and just put it in the center of the court?
Like the cool.
Yes!
The omnibus in which this bloody place is here today in this very building.
Here? What? The entire carriage?
Bailiff, bring forth the stricken omnibus.
Wow, well, I was half right. Hey, Baker Street. So that's an omnibus. The omnibus. I can't believe they could bring something so enormous in here. Great Britain's courtrooms are amazing.
As you can see, the omnibus is pulled by 2 horses and can carry up to 8 passengers. 4 passengers seated inside the enclosed cabin and another 4 on the rooftop deck above. Every Londoner knows the best views of the city's architecture and sights are to be had from the top of it. I should point out to our foreign guests that there is a skylight on the roof, allowing a view of the interior from the above.
Ah, a skylight. Oh!
The penny drops at last. 2 gentlemen occupy. That is how they came to witness the grim incident. Through the skylight.
Ugh, that makes perfect sense.
Well, Counsel, this is a first. In all my years behind the bench, I've never experienced the crime scene itself being brought into the courtroom.
There are a number of important clues remaining inside the carriage. I would like to submit the omnibus itself. That is the prosecution's.
Where's your wig, man? I'm bald.
Very well, I see no reason why not. This omnibus is hereby formally accepted as evidence.
I can't believe it. The entire crime scene entered as evidence?
Yes! Great Britain is simply extraordinary.
I could help myself by a lot. I helped myself a lot by giving that omnibus a thorough examination, seeing as it's here. I guess let's go and examine the omnibus real quick, actually. Just in case. Nah, we'll do this later. When we need it. I'm sure we'll have to do this eventually.
Let us continue with proceedings then. Your cross-examination, Counsel.
Practice. Seas of a cross-examination. My breath.
All right. My first cross-examination in British court. Should have taken more breaths. Focus, Ryunosuke. Focus.
It was the last bus of the evening, so I had a few customers. I remember it well.
We saw all this, right? Yeah, so as usual, we've already read all this. Why can't I go back? It's just what happens when you go through all the dialogue. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's just after dialogue stuff. It's after dialogue stuff. Okay, wait, real quick. We're playing with the press. I'm trying to figure out what we need to press. Not. Oh, it's A and D. Okay, so let's see. Last bus of the evening. Customer. Okay, I don't think I. Oh, don't present.
Hold it!
Hold it! You actually saw the exact moment it happened?
Did not already testify to that. Our fair income, hard-working city bankers not considered trustworthy these days.
Oh, no, I didn't mean that. This is no good. I've really got his backup. Okay. Perhaps you could just tell us what you saw in a little more...
My lord,
Oh, turn number 3, what's the meaning of this?
My mind is made up, my lord. Completely and utterly made up.
Made up about what?
I don't like these stinking rich. Never have. They're always up to something or other that they shouldn't be. Every one of them. And that little leprechaun of a man is no exception. Well, he can't fool.
what the heck? What the heck is like turning?
It's a scale. So if more votes go towards guilty, they're guilty.
There's no point in wasting time listening anymore. That's my opinion on the matter anyway.
That's precisely what I was about to say. Oh, well, as the foreman of the jury, it's my duty to set a good example to my fellow jurors. Well, Fetch, well, I mean, everything has weight. Like, air has weight. Gas has weight. Well, I mean, it goes up and down versus, but like, I don't know. I mean, fire has to have a weight technically.
That sounds like a Vsauce video. How much does fire weigh?
What though? What is happening here? It's hard to say because like fire is composed of, should be composed of materials. You can't just have fire without like burning something, right? Maybe.
It's just a chemical.
I mean,
Fire weighs about 0.3 kilograms per cubic meter.
so it weighs something. How it's sustaining itself, I don't know, but it weighs something.
That amount of fire does.
I mean, it has to weigh something. It technically has to weigh something. What though? What is happening here?
Let me see. Ah, yes. Seems that's how the members of the jury. Verdicts.
It's fire?
Apparently, yes. White for innocent and black for guilty. As the 6 members of the jury make up their minds about the case, one by one, they put a ball of fire into the great scale of justice.
Maybe the ball of fire is composed on, maybe there's something in the center of the ball that's burning, there has more likelihood of more weight. So if those enormous scales fall completely to the black side, does that mean...
Our very best to make sure that doesn't happen.
Ugh, now I'm even more worried than I was before. Talk about high stakes from the beginning.
Very well, the court acknowledges the change in the jury's stance.
What is he gonna do, not acknowledge it?
Counsel for the defense, please continue with your cross-examination.
Ah, this is a nightmare. I'm gonna present more. I press more about this. Oh, stop presenting. Q. I don't know. That's why we press. So we can press and say, learn more facts about the statements thing. He stabbed him, you say, and you were sitting up on the roof deck, were you?
Yes, that's right, sir. I was up on the roof seats. I remember seeing a little gent sitting next to the fellow that was stabbed. I've been thinking about a new hat design, you see, so I was gazing absent-mindedly around. But then I happened to look down through the skylight. It was sticking right out of from his belly. That huge great knife.
That's what I'm looking at right now. That once in the abdomen with the knife while journeying in the omnibus. Died due to internal hemorrhaging resulting from the trauma. Doesn't really say much right now. Ugh, that didn't help me at all. The jury looked like they're even more convinced my client did it than they were before.
Seems to have made everyone even more dubious that Mr. Gilded is telling the truth. only we had some evidence to counter their suspicions.
Mr. First,
Oh, yes, sir.
is this the knife? Saw.
Oh, good grief.
Good grief.
Yes, that's it. The very one, sir.
Is that?
Dude, what if his voice changed like that? Good.
Oh, yes.
Good grief.
That's the one.
Yes, Counsel, this is the blade that was driven into the victim's belly like a stake through. I'm a vampire.
That is the blade of a considerable size, Count.
It is, and furthermore, the scabbard is emblazoned prominently with a certain initial. The letter M, which seems oddly familiar. It's me, I did it!
Ugh, please no.
M for Magnus, perhaps, or McGilded, possibly. Take your pick.
I'm curious. Let's see the people in the record, actually. Maybe some of them have a W or M. It's male strong hearts. Okay, let's see. No. Oh, it could be Mason's own knife, actually. Okay, but none of them have the M's or W's in their names. No, that's it.
It seems this particular big name in London made magnificent.
Objection. But there are M's everywhere. Like yes, like in Mason.
Objection!
That's actually the same.
This blade is far too. Not anything like him. This blade is far too extravagant for a poor brickmaker to. No, this weapon of murder almost certainly belongs to the accused.
Ugh.
Not conclusive, but.
Let's see what they said real quick. Not conclusive, but certainly compelling, Counsel. Okay.
My lord, if you'll forgive the interruption.
Juror number 2, thing 1 and thing 2, go on.
I'm calling this man guilty.
Mr. McGilded is a pillar of society and a gentleman. And a gentleman's word should be.
All right, Matt. Next vocab word. Go.
However,
Those of us in service.
those of us in service know we must accept our truths.
Wait, what are you about to do?
Dispose of the rubbish!
Sacrosanct, essentially of a principle, place, or routine regarded as too important or valuable to be interfered with.
What a word. All right, so
They were.
we can see. We can just see the history. Yeah, it should be. Yeah.
No.
Okay, so now I guess we have to convince the other 3 jurors, and then the judge will probably do the tiebreaker, is what I'm assuming. This case.
I don't wish to cause offense, but I do like to eradicate all traces of filth and grime.
Oh.
I have painstakingly typed every word uttered here today, and cross-referenced all the facts. As such, I am now in a position to draw the only logical conclusion.
Well, fetch. Don't we just lose? Not again.
That's 4 out of 6 jury members who proposed a guilty verdict. There are only 2 left.
We've had it. Every time I press these witnesses for more information, I just make the situation worse.
Nevertheless, what we need more than anything at the moment is more information. We're still very much in the dark.
I suppose I'll just have to keep pressing the witnesses, knowing that more sparks may well fly.
We mustn't give up hope that we'll uncover something that will give us a way to fight back.
But... Alright, I'll keep trying. I can't give up. I just need to keep calm and listen to the witnesses' statements again.
Look at how far I have to lean to get in a word edgewise. I was just gonna say, do they not take him back?
I don't know, honestly. Oh, what happened? Alright, so when it happened, there are only 2 people in the enclosed cabin where the defendant and the victim. Wait. I don't know what I just said. And so help me, 3 whole people witnessed the man I'm trying to defend do the deed.
I don't like to be pessimistic, but we do seem to be in a rather difficult situation.
Ugh. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to think here? Is Mr. McGilden really innocent? Or could it be?
Before we jump to our first task should be to gather information. We need to understand the case much better than we do at the moment.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Let's listen to those witnesses' statements again, a little more carefully this time. Oh, we... Okay. I feel like that's not what we have to press. I am going to press from right here. What exactly did you see?
Oh, well, sir, that would be the passenger, sir. Yes, collapsed on the floor, he was.
What were you saying?
He didn't actually see anything because he just heard a scream. But as soon as
Thomas, you remember the thing? You have to look at how other people
No,
react.
no one's currently reacting though right now differently, so yeah. But I just remembered that earlier.
And by the passenger, obviously, referring to the victim, the brick maker.
And that other passenger had a knife in his hand like this.
By the other passenger, obviously, you're accused, Agnes Gilded.
And then he plunged it down like stabbing and the passenger in the belly.
What?
Order! Order! It is hard to believe one of London's greatest philanthropists, but this is damning evidence.
Law knows no philanthropy, my lord. Only the innocent and the guilty. Good deeds mean nothing, shadowed by evil. The truth is everything.
Couldn't agree more, sir. The truth.
Alright, so when it happened, the only 2 people in the closed cabin area were the victim and the defendant. And okay, no wait, I read this. This is the after stuff. I'm gonna press the first statement again. Well, we never pressed the first statement.
Hold it!
Yes, I think it was sometime after 10, wasn't it?
Oh, yes, sir, that's right. Yes, ever so cold. It was freezing, in fact.
And you had 4 passengers on board at the time, is that correct?
Yes, that's right, sir. Not all traveling the same parts of the bus, of course. No.
There were no other passengers when the incident. No one alighted.
You're quite right with that, sir. No other passengers like that. No, none.
So nobody fled the scene of the crime then?
I have to say the boss insists on it running. He does every evening, that last bus of the day. But I do wonder sometimes if it's all together. I don't know. Yes, sorry to say. Worthwhile.
What do you mean by that?
Well, with it being so cold and everything, and only making 20 pence on the run, you see. Yes, I spend that much on the pub on the way home, just trying to warm up again. I just can't believe it, sir. Can't believe it. Murder on my own bus. It's too awful to think about. I haven't been able to shake this cold ever since it happened.
Really getting to this. Oh, wait, I'm changing this guy's voice. My lord, I wish to speak!
Oh my god.
Yes, juror number 5, do I take it that you...
As the master of the London Guild of Coachmen, the idea of murder being committed in one of the city's carriages is utterly abhorrent to me. It wouldn't be right to make a decision before hearing all the facts, though, I said to myself. But I've heard enough now. The horse is bolted, as they say.
No, no, please. Just keep an open mind a little longer.
Gee up now, Silverblaze! The finish is in sight! Beppo is a long-standing member of the guild, and I trust what the man says.
Oh, thank you, sir. You're too kind.
Ugh, this is too unkind, sir.
Means that 5 jo-
She'll condemn us as soon as she's done making her mitts.
Madam Juror number 6.
Yes, dear? What can I do for you? Yes, I certainly I can do. You got my hair. No.
Then pray tell, why are you yet to pronounce your leaning?
Well, dear, I'm a creature of habit, me. I always go to the park at around this time of day on a nice bench. Southern people in London.
Hey, I'll turn into Southerners.
There's a lovely little park just near where I live. The Gilded Park, it's called. Gentlemen donated it to you. Oh, put a smile on Londoners. And to marry such a fine young gentleman would have it in him. Oh, wonderful.
That's right, a man like that wouldn't stab someone, surely.
Can we go to the Gilded Public Library later and borrow some more books?
How many Londoners live with their heads in the clouds? Do you people not know? What kind of wealth to purchase the entire city he claims to value so highly? Where, pray tell, did all that wealth come? Your client is a Shylock, sir, and one with the very darkest of...
What?
Stone the crows!
McGilded lends money at an extortionate rates of interest, so his victims have no hope of
This guy's actually just guilty.
When they default, he takes possession of everything they own. He is a vulture that preys on.
I've never heard any mention of that before.
Your faculties are disappearing, you old fart. So has this thought not crossed your mind? Would a man wealthy enough to buy London in its entirety not have a carriage of his own? What possible reason could this man have had to make use of a public omnibus service?
You're not saying that.
A victim, a poor brickmaker, had next to nothing to his name, save considerable financial liability. It will come as no surprise that his creditor was the accused, Magnus McGilded. Let it also be known that the very day Mr. Mason was killed was the final repayment date for his debts.
Good gracious!
Brickmaker was destitute. He had lost his house. He had not a shilling which to pay his debts. In the end, this pitiful soul had the very last thing he owned taken from him. His life. By the merciless philanthropist pretender Magnus McGilded.
I don't believe it.
If I might add something briefly,
Mr. Sato.
claim that the victim had money by Mr. McGilded. Where's the evidence to support your claim?
Touché.
Oh. Did you just pour water in your orange juice?
Pray forgive the water and the orange juice. Filling my glass, my hallowed chalice in it.
Aha, there it is. Lord Van Zeek's hallowed chalice.
How can this be considered acceptable?
I find expected.
I had heard ladies from the Far East could get courage. I didn't.
As judicial assistant.
Destin.
As judicial assistant to the defense, I am simply doing my job.
The pity that your display of courage is in vain. As the debtor's ledger details all monies loaned by the will find the victim's name clearly. Allow me to present this ledger as evidence. Pray forgive the discourtesy of raising my chalice in a toast, the enigmatic East.
A marvelous toast, Counsel. I will gladly accept this new evidence.
Yeah, we're probably gonna have to actually look into all the evidence at this point.
Oh, yes, 20 Guinness. The victim owed a considerable sum.
Accused made quite certain that he had ample.
Oh, but see my.
Hold it.
I'm at the wolf pulled over.
Regrettably, madam, that is modus operandi.
And it's such a pretty little park, too. What a scoundrel!
Oh no, she's gonna do it!
Still. Maybe it's all for the best.
Wait a minute. Let's think about this.
I don't stand for nonsense.
Oh,
So, do we just lose now? That was it. The last juror's decision.
according to this encyclopedia of British law, members of the jury have concluded that the guilty court proceedings are suspended and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict.
Thomas, it says you've been live for 5 minutes and 11 seconds. What happened? Don't tell me they missed my chalice and the orange juice.
Who did this?
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 This has been fun. Can you believe it's only been an hour? Yeah.
Alright guys, if you've missed everything up till now, well, you're screwed. But so are we. Good grief. Okay, so that's just bugging out over there, I guess. But the stream's all actually there, right? Okay, well,
Maybe
it doesn't say it's live. Oh, so go back all the way to the beginning. Go back to the live one. That's a different episode. Go back to hit the live. It's just bugging out on Streamlabs. Okay, we're fine. Everything's good. We'll continue now. Good grief.
0 viewers.
That's the life.
All
That's
our
what
effort.
it says.
What if it's bugged out and you have a million?
No. The final verdict. It's over then.
1 million people watching this at 10. There's a footnote though.
Footnote.
The defense.
All 6 members of the jury are now in agreement in the case.
Allow me to convey my respect for your swift and righteous decision.
According to the laws of this country, I will now conclude the trial by delivering my final verdict. I trust there are no objections.
You gotta object.
Miss Susato, just tell me one thing.
Oh, yes?
You were in the middle of saying something before. The footnote in your Encyclopedia of British Law. However, the defense. What did it say next?
Oh yes, of course. All members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty. Court proceedings are suspended and deliver the final verdict. And then the footnote says, However, the defense has the right to demand a summation examination of the jurors at the
Let's find out what that is, I guess. He's risen from the dead. A summation examination.
A summation examination. From which century has that tome you have there been resurrected?
Ah!
Judging from the binding, I would say that book is at least 50 years old. Any modern text on British law wouldn't even give such an antiquated procedure mention. It's a relic, long forgotten and certainly no longer practiced. So you're out of luck.
What even is it, Miss Susato? This so-called summation examination.
You would skip my text like the fool you are. You would demand the right to procedure before you even understand what it entails. Typical Japanese Nipponese.
All right, Miss. Oh, no.
All right, Mr. I think I understand. It seems that under this procedure, you would be able to appeal to the members.
Do what exactly?
Appeal to them to here. If successful, proceedings of the trial must be resumed.
Make them reverse the decisions. I bet this is going to be used against us in the future.
Yes, in times gone by, barristers would use a summation examination to attempt to influence the jury's decision. But that procedure became something of a formality with no practical benefit, really, so it rather fell out of use.
Because it was devoid of purpose. Changing just one member of the jury's mind would be hard enough, let alone several. No self-respecting defense barrister would even assert his right to try in this day and age.
Any mention of the procedure actually being formally revoked.
What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that although it may be antiquated, hardly forgotten. What do you think, Mr.
A summation examination. Our last possible option. Do we assert our right to carry it out or limit defeat? Assert our right. Come on, we know none of these options are actually options.
I know.
This is a visual one.
We
This is
didn't
a,
want to do this. We're not gonna do it.
this is a one-track visual novel. The defense wishes to assert its right to a summation examination, my lord.
Objection!
Objection! London is the capital city of the most powerful nation on earth. We have a duty to the world to exemplify the very highest standards of judicial procedure. Summation examinations are embarrassment that should remain buried.
Objection! But if it's in our right, it's our right. I believe it could prove vital in this trial.
The defense's petition is perfectly valid. The court will proceed with summation examination.
This is madness!
Foreman, this is England! And the remainder of the jury, are you ready?
Yeah? Well, I'm not, but there was no mention of this in the letter I received, you see, so...
All members of the jury will be asked to explain on what grounds they have reached their decision.
On what grounds?
You must all justify your decisions and explain why you have believed the defendant to be guilty.
They literally said they saw him stab him, so...
Well, my lord, you're rather putting us on the spot.
This is most irregular. No mention was made of this before.
I don't really hold with all this justifying lark.
That seems to have thrown the jurors off.
Seems none of them have experiences.
Alright then, the summation examination. A defense procedure no practicing lawyer has attempted for years, is it? Well, just maybe. It might be the opportunity we've been looking for to turn this trial around.
So be it then. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court hereby calls upon you to state the grounds on which you find the defendant Magnus McGilded guilty of his most serious crime.
There was no one else inside the carriage at the time, so it has to have been him.
Trust the driver. Has an excellent memory, it seems. 4 passengers, fares to totaling 20 pence.
He stuck the chap next to him just like this. Whoopah! Brazen, I must say, absolutely a brazen.
I have simply typed and collated all the statements made thus far, and drawn the logical conclusion.
You can trust the guild. Fair fares is our motto. We haven't raised prices above 4 pence for years.
A scoundrel! Stabbing that poor man on the floor! It beggars belief.
I'm starting to wish I hadn't pushed for this now.
Jurors don't seem to have wonderfully formed arguments.
Well, let's see what we can do. We need to get these 6 people to change their minds. I'll have to throw everything I can at them and use some very persuasive language.
Just a moment, Mr. Naruhodo.
According to my book, not quite how it works.
Oh? I thought I was going to have to thaw their icy mind with some heartwarming rhetoric about the defendant.
Unfortunately, once the jurors have decided the defendant is guilty, they're unlikely to heed anything the defense says.
But then...
They've reached their conclusions by their own reasoning, you see. Your pleas will sound like a... In fact, it could recoil on you. The more you try to persuade them, the more entrenched they become.
Then what on earth am I supposed to do?
Oh, I'm just sad to read about British law, Mr.
Right, I'm sorry. Oh gosh, do you have any idea how to make this work then?
Well, from what I can understand, this procedure is your own words to make an argument.
What do you mean?
Members of the jury are randomly selected members. They appear to present a united front, but the truth is, they are complete strangers who just happen to find them together.
And that's the way to break them down, you mean?
Yes, exactly. You must listen very carefully to any and like had them on the ground. We then contrast the statement, pit the corresponding jurors against each other.
I see, so it's contradictions in what the 2 or more jurors say that we're looking for.
You know what I just realized? We're in the tutorial still. Now we're learning about juries.
Yeah, actually, we still are in the tutorial, honestly. In a way, then, there's a reason why there's 2 games to this, man. This is similar to a regular cross-examination.
Oh, yes, I suppose.
Find contradictions in their statements and pit the jurors against one another to break them down. Basically, there's now, like, 11 witnesses in this case. Good grief. Alright, I might be able to pull this off. No, that's not right. I have to pull this off!
Can we start the proceedings, Counsel? I would ask you to take the stand for this. I'm expecting a clear and concise rebuttal.
Yes, my lord. I cut them down with my sword. Okay, we've read all this, so... Inside, there's only him and the other 2. I can press these 2, it looks like. Driver wasn't asleep.
He stuck the chap next to him just like this.
I don't know about her, though.
What do we pit her against, though? Can we pit it?
Him stabbing him.
Can we? Yeah, we can do that.
Objection!
I've never done this either. Those 2 statements are completely contradictory.
Explain, Counsel, please.
Oh, dearie me. I was only knitting a jumper for my other half.
What is all this claptrap? What is contradictory even mean, I ask you?
We've heard more from more than one witness that they allegedly saw the actual moment when the defendant stabbed the victim. Now, out of curiosity, juror number 3.
Huh? Can't you see that I'm busy?
How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim? What sort of motion was it?
Want to test me, do you? Like this, stuck the fellow next to him without even getting up, just like the prim banker said.
What if he actually stabbed the person next to him?
Yes, that was Mr. Foreplay's testimony. Quite true.
Now then, juror number 6.
Oh. Is it? What can I do for you, young man?
How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim, madam?
Oh, well, dear, as far as I understand, it was like this. He stabbed the poor man after he'd collapsed on the floor. Coachman said so.
Now don't move. Take a look at these 2 jurors. He stuck the fellow next to him without even getting up. And he stabbed the poor man after he collapsed on the floor.
But I never... They're stupid. They're stabbing in totally different directions.
What?
That's my stitches. What a muddle.
What this tells us is that there's a strong possibility one of the witnesses isn't telling the truth.
But why? Why the dickens would I?
I don't know that yet, but what I do know is that if the trial ends at this point, we may never find out. We may never know the real truth. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, can you really let that happen in all our good conscience?
They hear an Asian yelling and then boom, right on the table.
Lies you say? Oh, dearie me.
Thomas, there's so many people.
I know.
Bad people telling lies. Fails.
I don't believe it!
Tense.
Wait! Now hear this, my fellow jurors. I warn you, you cannot listen to this man. Look at him, in his black suit. He's clearly some devious Eastern sorcerer using magic on us all.
These people are so racist.
If I could use magic, do you really think I'd be putting myself through all this?
Answer me this, Dark Jinx.
Huh? Me?
What exactly is the problem?
What of it if 2 witnesses have slightly different recollection of the events? What of it? Let's say the Shylock did stab the victim as he was sat next to him on the omnibus, and this young dandy saw him do it. And now let's say the victim collapsed on the floor and then the Shylock stabbed him again. And this old lady saw him do it. Well, that's what's to say that it didn't happen like that,
Who are you calling dandy, sir? Why? I should take this knife to you.
What are you calling old? Why, I should take this needle to you.
Ugh, they're ready to kill each other now. But could the foreman of the jury be right? Did the 2 witnesses see 2 different moments of the same crime? There's only one knife. No, there's stabbed once in the abdomen. No, it says in the autopsy report. Out of the question. Yeah. Unfortunately, Mr. Foreman.
What is it, you Dark Jinx? Come on, out with it.
What you're suggesting is impossible. It's out of the question.
What are you talking about, man? How can you possibly say that? You do realize I'm only doing my job. As foreman of the jury, I have a responsibility to steer everyone in the right direction. So where's your evidence, man? That's what we want to see. I say the 2 witnesses who saw 2 different moments of the same crime. If you say that's out of the question, show me some proof.
It looks like the only way I'm going to convince him is to present him with something he can't dismiss. some irrefutable hard evidence. As you wish. What? I'll give you the proof. It's out of the question that the two witnesses saw the two different moments of the same crime as proven by the autopsy report. This is the victim's autopsy report. According to what's written here, Mr. Mason was stabbed in the abdomen only once.
Yeah, only once.
It's quite simple. The victim was stabbed precisely one time. Which means these witnesses can't possibly have seen it. Have seen it happen 2 different times.
Alright, I can see defeat.
I don't understand. This makes no sense to me.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Super weird.
Oh, well done, Mr. Naruhodo. You did it. We can manage to change 2 more jurors' minds. Force the trial to continue.
2 more. Actually. Oh, there's 2 more contradicting here. There's something else that's bothering me about a couple of their assertions.
That's where you must strike next.
So I need to pit 2 more jurors against each other and show there's another contradiction in their assertions.
Exactly. You can do it.
Well, the scales of justice have but they still weigh heavy on the side of guilt. Counsel, you have the floor again. Continue with your summation examination.
Okay, so it's probably it actually might be this guy and the first guy about the 20 or no her about the 20 pence and then the rates. Yeah. Pits.
Objection.
Those 2 statements clearly contradict each other.
They do? Explain yourself, Counsel.
Oh dear, what have I said?
I swear on Silver Blaze's maiden name, I haven't the first idea what you're talking about.
According to the group testimony we've heard so far, there were 4 passengers on the omnibus on the night in question. And according to the coachman, Mr. Beppo, he took 20 pence in fares.
Quite right. I have those precise details typed neatly here in front of me.
And juror number 5 also told us the following. The fare for the omnibus is always 4 pence.
That it is a fair and convenient single price, just the way London's carriages should be operated.
But that doesn't add up at all. In fact, that leaves a glaring discrepancy in the facts. There should be 5 people.
Why, man? Why?
4 passengers paying 4 pence each. If you do the multiplication,
Oh, it would be 16.
exactly, as I said, it doesn't add up. The figures are different. By 4 pence, in fact, or precisely 1 person's fare.
1 person's fare?
Yes, in other words, on the omnibus that night. It's distinctly possible. There was another passenger we've heard nothing about.
Good gracious.
No, this can't be right. The coachmen of the guild are good, honest men, one and all. Trustworthiness is our watchword.
The figures your coachman claims most certainly do not add up. Your watchword, good sir, is a fallacy.
I beg your pardon?
Mr. Guildmaster, I think you ought to consider that if this trial were to end now, the news will surely spread all over London. The news that one of your coachmen tried to hide the fact that he lets nefarious characters ride his omnibus.
Ugh! Alright then, how do I make it so this miserable trial doesn't end,
Well, according to my book here, simply launch a ball of fire onto the innocent side of the set scales.
Like a lot of people have done.
Now hold your horses there, coachman. We were all in agreement. Why do you have...
Wait till I get my hands on you, Beppo!
Ugh, this is all very irritating.
Begging your pardon, I'm going to do...
The game begin.
Now we win, right? We win?
For the love of Mike, not you as well.
penny can be the difference between a smile and hereafter. I certainly can't put my trust in someone who doesn't follow my exact financial needs.
Oh, really?
I, for one, think it's only proper that we hear from the witnesses again.
Wait, that means 4 jurors are now leading to not guilty.
What are you playing at, you dandy fool?
Shut your trap, sir. No one just...
But we had a consensus.
I said shut your trap. I know a lie when I see. And if that chap ever dares to cross the threshold of my shop, I'll take this razor-sharp blade and shave every last hair off his head.
Please tell me he's a barber.
Well, in a quite remarkable defense, defense's summation examination has flipped the balance of the scales of justice. The jurors now stand at 2 for being 4 to not guilty. Accordingly, there's no longer a large enough majority among the jury for me to adjudicate. And the trial must continue. I hereby ask the defense, prosecution, and witnesses to return to their places, and I call upon all of you to continue to pursue the truth. Now, Lord Van Zeeks, continue to substantiate the case for the prosecution, if you please.
I think I might have to do this multiple times.
This judge appears every single case, I'm sure. Alright, Matt, let's see it.
Having savored the rich aroma of the carmine contents of this hallowed chalice, it may seem crass to crush it to dust. Pray forgive the discourtesy.
Lord Van Zeeks!
Is it cold in here or is it just me?
As your antiquated tome no doubt says, the prosecution may not speak during a summation examination.
I was actually wondering about that.
So I honored a deathly silence and listened to the charade. It seems I overestimated the intelligence of the jury. Well, no matter. There's nothing so hard to prove as a self-evident truth, it would seem. No, and why else would we grace the courtroom with our presence after all? So, let us proceed to the next round of battle. Bring forth the witnesses once more. Witnesses, I trust you heard the summation examination we have just had to endure.
Oh, yes, sir, that I did, sir.
Of course I heard it.
Oh, yes, sir, I heard it.
You, sir, on the end, the coachman, I believe it's Beppo.
Yes, sir, my lord, sir.
If it transpires that in your previous testimony you're attempting to veil the presence of a 5th passenger on your omnibus, found guilty of perjury, advised to bear that in mind, sir.
Oh, mio Dio!
Now then,
Now then, witnesses, I hereby call on you to testify before the court again. You will explain the various misgivings brought to our attention by the defense summation examination.
I'm so glad you have a good old man voice. I cannot do one, honestly.
you just
Stress your chest and...
I only care for passengers that night. I swear it. But,
Well, I for one was... I had to pay 5 pence for the bus.
He fiddled us on the fare, he did. And then I saw that blood-curdling sight as well. It's all too much.
I tell you, I saw McGill that stabbing at me. Everything I...
oh, yes, he stabbed him. Yes, he did. I think so, yes.
Thanks.
Counsel, make sense of this for me, please.
Phantom fifth passenger conjured into existence by my learned Eastern friend never existed. Confusion has arisen from the coachman's sly little cousinage.
Beppo, explain yourself. I like how the coachmen just have these voices.
I'm terribly sorry, Guild Master.
The guild's fare is 4 pence. Cozenage. Oh my gosh, I didn't mean to press. Oh great. The guild's fare is 4 pence across the board. You know that. Am I to understand that you've been overcharging our passengers by a penny a fare?
It's so cold, and the last run of the day is always empty.
You've been dishonest, coachman.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
You're a disgrace, Beppo! A disgrace! And your selfish actions have brought dishonor on the entire guild!
If I may, sir, I had to pay 10 pence on the bus just last week.
What?!
4 passengers at 5 pence. Alrighty, but I just can't make the result differently.
No, that figures.
Well, it would appear that one of the aforementioned misgivings has already been explained. Oh, counsel for the defense, your cross-examination, if you please.
We've already had the pleasure of a protracted summation examination today. I see you intend to continue to parlor games.
Absolutely. I think we want to press the last statement. Because he had to pay 5 pence for the bus. Because he was lied to. Also, they didn't know what you said at all.
Why did he have to pay 5? So why is he like dejected?
Yeah, I think this is the statement we press. Yeah, so I think this is the statement we press. Hold it! Earlier, you testified that you saw the moment when the defendant allegedly stabbed the victim, didn't you? Yeah. Looks like we'll have to pursue. Excuse me. Mr. First. Oh, how can I help you, sir? That last statement, did it trouble you in any some way? Oh, not particularly, sir, no. If anything, he's troubling me with that hat of his. Has he creased his head? Oh dear, sir, I hope my hat's not troubling you, sir. I'm still just an apprentice, you see. I think there's nothing there.
Even the witnesses can see what's going through your mind.
Yeah, looks like there's nothing there. Ugh, I wish it were that simple. No. Not long ago, this trial very nearly came to an end. Somehow we've managed to keep our chances alive here. I can't waste this cross-examination. I have to use it to bring some new facts to light.
Almost got down to 1 life last time.
Hey, but we didn't say go.
If you're not careful when you press these witnesses, dangers that the jury will end up believing something unhelpful as they did before.
Maybe, but we can't let the fear of that happening stop us from uncovering important new information.
Yes, so right.
I need to pay careful attention here. I don't want to even miss a flicker of a reaction among these witnesses.
Remember, if you happen to spot one of the witnesses reacting this way, don't hesitate to do them as to the reason.
I wonder if I'm supposed to look for a reaction here. I want to finish pressing that. Okay, so that was his face, but I want to finish pressing this last statement.
Hold it!
You said the victim was on the floor and described the assailant holding a knife in an ice pick grip. I suppose I don't know what this voice is.
I might have, yes, put the cart before the horse, maybe.
It's like,
What's this?
Well, I'm quite sure about most of it. I was driving the horses around and could scream from the seat of the roof deck.
Oh, I expect that was me, sir.
And when I turned around, yes, I saw it.
Wait a
Skylight.
second, what? Wait, how did he see through the skylight? Isn't he in the front of the... Okay.
The gentleman was on the floor and the knife was just sticking up out of his midriff. That's right, yes, and the fellow out at the handle was a famous man.
So in short, you didn't see the moment when the victim was stabbed actually at all.
I'm sorry. I really thought that I did, but when I could go over it again in my head, no, I suppose I didn't actually see the last moment of stabbing, did I?
Excuse me.
Okay, yeah, now I didn't realize they actually did that, so now I don't have to keep looking around. Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Fairplay? What is this guy's name? I don't... Bruce Fairplay. Bruce... I'm just wondering if his name's a pun of some sort. But I can't figure it out at the very least.
oh, you listen to me. I know what you're thinking. Didn't really see the exact moment of the fella. That. What are the chances of that?
Are you asking me or telling me? He's getting flustered. I might be able to extract some new information from him if I answer him cleverly. Could he have just happened to see the exact moment the crime was committed? No chance. Well, it is a little hard to believe, certainly. Unless you spend your time peeping through a skylight on top of the omnibus, that is.
Peeping? I'm a respectable city banker, I'll have you know. And I know what I saw. I remember it as clear as a Ballarat day. Grim scene.
Thank you, Mr. Fairplay.
Oh, excuse me if I was getting a little under the collar there.
I would ask you to supplement your testimony with a clear statement about what exactly you saw.
Oh, I can do that, alright. I'll tell you just how grim it was. Think I'd forget the sight of those blood-soaked hands after that.
Objection!
Objection! Blood-soaked hands?
Well, I admit that soap might be laying on a little thick, but anyway, there was definitely blood all over them. Both of them were covered in it.
Well, I'm very sorry to disagree, Mr. Fairplay, but that's more than a little peculiar. Here are the gloves worn by the defendant, Mr. McGilded, on the night in question.
Oh, yes, right.
And there certainly does appear to be a sizable dark-colored stain there, but as I'm sure you can clearly see, it's only on the right-handed glove. In short, Mr. Fairplay, your testimony is inconsistent.
Yeah, but no, that can't be right.
So you're the liar here then.
That's right, you were quite clear about it. You said,
Here, it was both hands.
Mr. Fairplay, if your last statement was a lie, it calls your entire testimony into question. You say you saw the moment the victim was stabbed, but is that really the truth?
Well,
Objection!
Objection! It was a simple mistake. You can't justify accusing this man of lying. Yes, it wasn't both hands, it was only one. But the fact remains. The victim's blood was on the accused.
Objection! No, Mr. Fairplay categorically stated that he saw blood all over both hands. Which means there's a strong possibility that this witness was deliberately trying to mislead the court.
God! Why? I'm a city banker, for pity's sake. My word should be the gold standard. I'm a gentleman, not some gutter snipe. Upstanding members of society don't arrogate.
I've heard the word, but I don't remember what it meant. He's claiming to have no reason to lie. Prevaricates. But is that really the case?
Mr. Naruhodo! We had some evidence to explain why Mr. Fairplay might be lying. It could turn the tide in this trial completely.
Something to show this man has compelling reason to lie in his testimony. Do I? What evidence do I have?
Say there's evidence. It probably is.
Sometimes they just say that there's no. Sometimes there is no evidence. I'm just gonna say, but
Do it.
all right, we'll go with I have evidence. I'm just thinking about what it would be though. I don't want to just go off on a limb. Let me look at the court record real quick. Entry. Well, it's not as though we know of any entry. Apart from our great detective. Oh. Apart from our great detective friend, perhaps. Actually, I wonder.
I assure you we will not find Mr. name inside.
Well, let's see what we find. It's just because we didn't take the time to look at the evidence. Time to read this very legible text.
Gosh, it's crammed full of gentlemen.
Well, I suppose they're probably not all gentlemen at all, are they? After all, not everyone in this country is well off.
Ah, goodness.
What is it?
Look at this. Do you see the name here?
Bruce Fairplay. Should that name mean something to me? It does sound strangely familiar, actually.
Bruce Fairplay, the witness testifying at this very moment.
Oh yes, of course, the banker. Why is his name in here? Ah, he borrowed 20 guineas, did he? And look, the repayment date is fast approaching.
It's possible that this is just a coincidence, of course. It's very useful. Guilty. So does he pay his money?
My lord,
Yes, counsel.
the defense is ready to present evidence. I think actually we can just leave the camera there, honestly. Yes, evidence that will clearly demonstrate why Mr. Fairplay had a reason to lie in his testimony.
Very well. I hereby call on the defense to present its evidence. The evidence that demonstrates a motive for the witness. Of the court.
Take that! This is the list of debtors who owed money to Mr. McGilded.
Yes, a list of innocent victims crippled by the accused extortion.
The point is, among the names of the debtors is your name, Mr. Bruce Fairplay.
What? Mr. Foreplay, are you currently indebted financially to the accused?
No, well, it's barely worthy of being called a debt.
According to this ledger, you owe 20 guineas. Not an inconsiderable sum of money, wouldn't you say?
Arrgh! Well, what of it?
Let's suppose Mr. McGilded were to be found guilty of the murder. What would become of your debt in that case?
Excuse me, these documents state that a loan agreement is forged between two individual parties. Therefore, were the creditor, the defendant here, to be sentenced to capital punishment, all outstanding debts which were owed to him would be annulled. They would cease to exist.
Cease to exist?
Mr. Fairplay, Is it not the case that you claimed in your testimony to have seen something that you never in fact saw, in a devious attempt to annul your debt of 20 guineas to the defendant?
Order, Mr. Bruce Foreplay.
Yes, my lord.
Let me ask you again, and be aware that your answer may have most serious implications upon your future, sir. Did you not see the precise moment in time at which the defendant is alleged to have thrust a knife into the victim?
Your silence speaks volumes. You do not tell the truth in your testimony.
All right, now let's not make a melodrama out of this. Perhaps I did overstate the truth,
A pinch.
but it makes no difference. I definitely remember seeing blood on McGilda's hands, both of them.
And yet, only one of the defendant's gloves, which we have here as evidence, is stained.
Brr, so you keep saying.
There's probably another person, considering he's probably telling the truth. Probably saw someone's hands. It wasn't Mr. McGilded's.
I wonder if I might be allowed to speak, sir.
Go ahead, Mr. First.
Well, the thing is, I think I remember seeing it myself as it happens.
Seeing what?
The blood, sir, on the assailant's hands. I think, yes. I'm almost sure that it was on both of his hands, not just one.
What? What?
It would appear that we're going to need further testimony from all you witnesses. This time I would like to know precisely what you did and what you did not see. Do I make myself perfectly clear?
Args. Naruhodo, this is good news. The course of the trial seems to have slightly at last.
Yes. I might finally have a chance to turn things around here.
So happy I don't have to do the girl's voice.
Don't worry, we'll go back to it soon enough. Well, we've figured all this. This is just testimony. Oh, no, this is new testimony. Reread it.
Was blood on both hands that cell. I sincerely and distinctly remember that. However, I suppose you might say that I didn't see the exact moment of being fired.
Well, technically, the guy said he went over to help the other guy, so it wouldn't be surprising if there was blood on his hands. But we'll have to see, because then why doesn't his glove have blood? I don't know.
I remember seeing the knife, and I remember seeing both of the attacker's hands with blood on them.
I didn't actually see anything myself. No, not until I heard that scream.
Anyway, the fact remains. There can't have been anyone else inside that carriage, or we all would have seen.
That's probably the statement I'm going to have to contradict.
Well, lo and behold, in truth of fact, not one of you was witness to the crucial moment of the crime was perpetrated. Perpetrated.
Actually, it might be a suicide, because maybe he couldn't pay off the debt, and he wanted to make the guy look guilty. Maybe if like has family or something.
Oh, shiz. That's
So-
really heavy.
Case closed.
Oh, T-rated game.
I apologize, my lord, but honestly,
This might be rated M, actually. Number 5 and 6 were rated M.
What the f-
arg! There was no one else inside that carriage, and the man's hands were covered in blood. That was incriminating evidence. Is tantamount to saying we saw the man do it.
That's really not what testimony is about.
Let us examine the interior of the omnibus one.
Or for the first time.
The victim's fresh blood is visible on the seat, corroborating the witness's account. In other words, there's no substantial nor significant change in the facts of the case.
Very well, your cross-examination, please, Counsel.
Yes, my lord. Alright. Let's see what we think we need to press. So, I'm pretty sure these guys aren't lying. I feel like I'm supposed to present something here. I don't know if I'm supposed to press this. I'm gonna press. It doesn't hurt, at the very least. Pressing, just so like getting more information.
Hold it!
And everything you saw of that incident was through the skylight on the roof of the omnibus?
That's right. It was fiercely cold that night, but the glass wasn't frosted over.
Oh yes, I remember. I was shivering. It was so bitter.
Rather begs the question of why the pair of you were sitting on the roof deck in the first place.
Well, I don't know about this young fellow, but I couldn't enter the cabin.
Oh, why not?
It was locked from the inside. I tried knocking. No way open the door.
It was locked.
That's right. And it's a public bus service, for pity's sake. That's not what I call it. Like,
Yes, I had exactly the same experience. I tried knocking, but the gent inside just gestured at me to clear off. So I had no choice but to climb up to the roof's deck and look down longingly into the warm cabin below.
I can assure you, I wasn't just looking down, I was glaring long and hard. And that's precisely why I can tell you with absolute confidence, anyone else at all in the cabin, I would have noticed.
Unequivocal, I would say.
I'm not sure about what these two witnesses. Could they really have seen everything inside the cabin through the skylights? They probably can't. They probably could have only seen like the hands and stuff, maybe. Allow me to confirm one thing, Mr. Fairplay.
No.
You were riding this omnibus and witnessed the events in the cabin through the skylight of in the floor of the upper deck. Is that right? The driver probably like went around, is what he's saying, after they stopped and then went around and looked.
That's right, yeah.
In that case, there is a portion of the cabin's interior that would have been out of sight from you.
What?
By golly, really? Obviously, at this stage, we can't say for sure. But the possibility cannot be denied that at the time of the incident, there could have been another passenger in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus. Well, let's take a look at this cabin omnibus real quick. I can't look up there. This is as high as it turns. Yeah, we should probably look at it at some point.
One dude with the big hat keeps saying,
Objection!
Enough hypothetical meandering, my Nipponese friend. The prosecution demands that you substantiate your claims. After all, the scene of the crime is here, in the flesh.
Very well, I will uphold the prosecution's demand.
I bet it's that he could only see from one side, so he only saw the hands when it reached over, but there could have been two people on the side of mixed, whatever his face. I can't remember our defendant's name.
Gilded?
You will identify the aerial in this cross-sectional plan of the omnibus. Sinai. Where exactly in the omnibus are you suggesting that this potential extra passenger could have been situated?
The other side, you can look down from here.
Take that!
Both rows of seats on the roof face in the direction of travel, whereas the seats in the enclosed cabin face each other, which means The visible part of the cabin. Oh no. Visible part of the cabin, which passengers on the roof deck can see through the skylights, is as I've drawn here. That's right, my lord. As you can see, seat opposite to the one on which the victim and his attacker were sitting is obscured from view. In other words, if someone had been sitting on that seat, it's quite possible that these witnesses would have been completely unaware of it.
Objection! Objection! It's quite possible. Phantom was sitting there. You Nipponese have a forbidding habit of obscuring the truth with ambiguity.
That's racist.
You cannot see the whole truth through those slits of eyes.
That's racist.
Cancel Sundown, his YouTube channel's Sundown. Just go over there and cancel his game, quick.
I concur. Cancel me. With the prosecution's rejoinder in a British court of law, evidence is paramount. I cannot entertain this conjecture, Counsel. That is, unless you're able to put a name to this mysterious passenger to whom you allude.
Time to look at the knife.
Can you, Mr. Navajo?
Inside the sheath, it said.
Wait, is it?
Oh, sorry, yes, I just don't really like blades.
Man with a large katana slung from.
That's not a blade, that's Kazuma's soul! Anyway, there's no sense in delaying it. Let's see what the blade looks like. M. The ornate letter M, undeniably Mr. Magnus's McGilded's initial. Wait, it's undeniable?
Beautifully.
Ah!
Talking like this. I was talking
Right next to the mic.
like this.
You have to be up inside the mic's business.
Okay.
Look at this M. If you turn it upside down, it becomes a W! This could change everything!
A W?
Yes, this is one of those, you know, turnabout cases, I'm sure of it.
I'm afraid I don't know at all, but what I am sure of is that this is an M.
Oh, well that idea is quickly quashed. Wait, why is it for sure? And it could be a W. I guess the way it's angled, you wouldn't, I don't know.
Willy Wonka. On the insignia.
That's not anything.
Screw this.
I don't know, this probably isn't gonna say anything. Oh, that looks like a lot of blood.
It surely is blood. Victim.
Ugh, an Englishman's blood looks like a lot of Japanese man's blood.
Did you think it wouldn't?
Expected it to be green. Sorry, it's just that we just arrived here in Great Britain. I'm finding it a little hard to adjust.
Yes, I do understand.
Okay, I don't think there's anything to be learned from here. I think we've learned everything we can from the ledger. Oh, but I guess we can take another look. Yeah. Court record. Yeah. What do you mean? This is never gonna end. I've already read all this. Alright, let's see if we can find another name, I guess? Maybe on the other side. Wait, this is the same stuff as before. I don't think there's anything else in here right now. That's why I originally clicked. I mean, for now, let's just keep going. If we need to present evidence, we can examine it at the time. I honestly don't know. What could it have been? Who could have been in the other seat? Out of sight from the witnesses on the roof deck. I have to have an inkling. No, I have no idea, honestly. I'm just gonna say I have no idea. That clearly wasn't the answer. I literally have no idea.
But as a proud citizen of the Japanese Empire, we'll look to the sky and walk on, making sure all signs of tears are gone. Go on.
This isn't just a case of going on, Mr. Sato. All right then, I'll go on. The defense would like to put forward a name.
You are a fool. I have another glass. No, that response was a desperate attempt by a man who has no notion of his own limitations.
This man probably has infinite glasses under his table. He's just like, all right, next one.
A toast to hard lessons not yet learnt.
Let us not delay, Counsel. The defense is still to name the passenger in the other seat.
This could be it. This could be the chance I've been waiting for to turn the trial in my favor. Favor. On that night, on the night of the murder, the person occupying the seat in the omnibus cabin that was obscured from the view was... Nope, this is all the people. Who the heck would it be? I actually have no idea.
I have literally no idea. Could it have been Zeke's? No.
There's no way it's a prosecutor, Mikultova, or Strongheart.
Could it be him himself? Yeah, present him himself. He murdered himself. Say that.
No, it's asking for who's occupying the seat across from on the obscured view, though.
The green dude is the only one I could imagine.
I know, right? Because like technically these two, that's the only person they couldn't have seen. I'll try presenting this guy.
Take that!
Yes, concealed in the... Yeah. But it wasn't. This is a very generic answer. Concealed in the blind spot of the cabin that night was none other than this unexpected passenger. So unexpected that no one understands it.
Whatever so-called logic you've used to arrive at that conclusion, it matters not. Because your answer has made one thing abundantly clear. The real blind spot is inside your head, and it would appear to be unusually large.
Ugh, you could have just... You could have just said that's not right.
Our task here is to defend Mr. McGill. And we are working on the assumption that he is innocent of this crime.
Yes, of course. Why?
That must mean, then, that there was someone else inside the omnibus with Mr. McGilded, the true culprit.
That's right, exactly what I've been... Oh, of course. So the two people sitting inside the cabin that the witnesses saw through the skylight that night, they were the victim and the real culprits.
It does seem as though we've all been making a false assumption.
The witnesses weren't looking at Mr. McGilded at all, meaning he has to have been sitting somewhere else.
Let us not delay, Counsel. The defense is still to name the passenger in the other seat.
I think it is Mr. McGilded. I think we just knew, but that they don't know that. This could be it. Yeah, yep. I think the answer is Mr. McGilded.
Take that!
Yep, music stopped. See? The passenger in the enclosed cabin that the witnesses on the roof deck failed to see has to have been Magnus McGilded. Mr. Magnus McGilded. Mr. McGilded?
What are you talking about, Counsel? That's the name of the defendant, you idiot!
Objection!
Objection!
If I desecrate this chamber by smashing my hallowed chalice, do forgive the discourtesy.
Lord Van Zeeks!
People talk of those tiny island nations in the Far East as having a learning and culture of their own. But I see they use the terms ill-advisedly.
What are you trying to say?
Let me explain in terms that even a student of an artless backwater such as yourself might understand. When the bloody scene unfolded, the victim and his assailant were sitting side by side. Multiple witnesses have attested to that fact. It's the very premise on which this case was built.
Objection! But that premise may be wrong.
What?
If the victim really was sitting beside Mr. McGilded, it creates an inconsistency that can't be reconciled in any way.
What inconsistency? Counsel.
The defendant's gloves, my lord. Both witnesses made the same testimony. They claimed that there was blood on both hands of the person sitting next to the victim.
Objection! Objection!
Yet we know the truth to be otherwise. Only one glove bears the gory remains.
Objection! The point is, even in the face of this irrefutable evidence, both witnesses have maintained their stance.
Yes, their testimony remains unchanged. Yes.
Exactly. They both adamantly swear that they clearly remember seeing blood on both hands of the assailant. In short, their memory of events is correct, and their testimony reveals the truth. It was somebody else sitting beside the victim that night, a third party we have yet to identify. And that is the victim's blood. And the victim's blood was on the passenger's hands, both of them. Turning my body around does not help me read.
Objection! Objection!
And who was this third party?
Obviously, the true culprit.
Extraordinary. Order! 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 What exactly are you postulating? Objection!
The defense's postulation is just that. Nothing more than conjecture. The witnesses have clearly stated that they saw the accused.
Objection! But when elaborating on his testimony, Mr. Fairplay said the two of them were wearing hats, and I couldn't exactly make out their faces.
Yes. Tops of their heads were obscured by the roof. Could see the rest of them, though.
Yes, that's right. Both gents were certainly most hatted. Hatters do tend to notice such things, sir.
And what particular styles of hat did the two gentlemen sport, Mr. First?
I'm afraid I don't remember. And you call yourself a hatter?
The style of hat makes no difference. There was no third passenger in that cabin.
How can you be sure?
Because if there had been, the accused Mr. McGilded would undoubtedly have offered to dispose the fact. Unless that is you're proposing an even more preposterous explanation. That the accused failed even to notice the presence of the true culprit in the very cabin in which he traveled.
Ah! Wait, we know he fell asleep, though. He's right. If there was another person traveling in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus, it's inconceivable that Mr. McGilded would have been unaware of it.
Order! There is clearly a simple solution to this problem.
Bring the accused, Mr. McGilded, to the stand.
Well, what you say, you, counsel?
The prosecution objects, my lord.
On what grounds?
As a suspect, you will have already made a full statement to the police.
But what if there's some reason why he's unable to speak freely? Wow, this is getting deep.
Magnus McGilded is no uneducated ruffian. If it indeed turns out the man has been withholding information, you can be sure it will have been a most deliberate act.
Counsel for the defense, what is your opinion?
My lord, should we ask Mr. McGilded to testify or not? Demand his testimony. Yes, we need to hear what he has to say in order to find out the truth.
No, we don't.
The defense would like to call Mr. McGilded to the stand.
Remember his voice?
You had the chance to change your voice, would you?
In that case, I would like to hear the opinion of the jury.
Yes, I need a little time to consider this.
If you ask me, I think we should hear from what Mr. Philbin has to say.
Get the man out of here, I say.
It would be utterly illogical not to hear his testimony.
When something needs doing, get it done! That's how I run things at the guild.
Maybe it's water in there, man.
Hearing what the patron of my favorite little park has to say? Oh, yes, that would be so lovely.
Yes, the jury says the man must be heard.
Very well, the court will hear the defendant's testimony. Bailiff, show the defendant to the stand at once.
Now, maybe what actually happened that night will finally become clear.
Let proceedings be resumed. Mr. McGibbard, have you been listening to the discourse of the day?
Be sure I have, my lord.
There are now two matters on which the court desires to hear from you. The first is whether or not there was a third party with you in the omnibus cabin as proposed by the defense. The second is that if such a person was indeed present, why did you conceal that fact from the police?
Begad, no. 'Tis not in my nature to hide anything at all.
Just answer the questions, please.
The truth of the matter is, I've been desperate about this all along. Do I tell yous all or keep me mouth shut?
Tell us what, Mr. McGilded?
The fine fella representing me is absolutely right. In the carriage on the night with myself and the other man, there was another passenger.
It's true!
Aye, and 'twas me who helped the little urchin get away after it all happened.
What?
You what?
What the No, Magnus McGilded, that convenient excuse can't save you now.
I am truly sorry, though I am Lord Van Zeeks. I'm sure you'll be wanting to know why I said nothing when I was taken by the police. I do be having a very good reason, I assure you.
Which was?
Well, the little child was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Not in any way involved, you see.
What?
If the police had known the wee one was there, they'd have assumed she'd done it. They'd have hauled her into this here courtroom just like myself.
Has every culprit been female? Like the actual culprit? The first one was Jezebel Brett. Second one was the flippin' ballerina.
Who wrote this game, Critch? Huh?
I mean, all the females are staying alive technically, so.
Okay. You were watching it? Yeesh.
Sheesh. Oh. I was only trying to spare her that. Young hearts and young minds are easily damaged.
And who was this young child of whom you speak?
That I don't know.
You don't know?
Aye, well, the wee ting just happened to be there in the carriage that night. Never saw her before or since.
Objection! We have absolutely no reason to believe this man. The prosecution calls for the witness's statements to be disregarded by the court.
You know, wouldn't be surprised if the urchin isn't here in this courtroom as we speak, listening to the proceedings.
What?
Ah, fire! Look, someone's trying to get away! You have to stop! I can't stand it!
What is going on?
Be careful, Mr. Darrow. Don't cover your face.
Bailiff, don't let the accused escape. Secure the omnibus.
I hereby call an emergency recess. Bailiff, ensure the defendant is in custody and clear the courtroom.
We were hurriedly removed from the smoke-filled courtroom by the bailiff. Amid scenes of chaos, as people stumbled over one another in their desperation to flee the chamber, we had no idea what was happening. All we knew was that, for the time being at least, the trial was suspended. To be continued. This seems like, yep, a great place to stop, so thank you all for watching. We will continue this next time. As to when that time will be,
Thank you for watching our only watcher.
Thanks, Colton.
yeah. Anyway, thanks for all watching. We'll go